Okay, let's talk about the apology of Socrates. This is called the apology not because he's apologizing for his life, but apologia in the Greek means defense. It means he's providing a defense of his life because he's on trial. And what we want to talk about first are the informal reasons that he's on trial. Socrates spent his life walking around Athens asking people tough questions. And usually people got tongue-tied, they weren't able to answer the questions, and this irritated them. So the power brokers of the day began to get upset with Socrates, and this is the informal reason eventually he gets put on trial. One of the things that he says in the apology when describing why he's on trial is he says that his friend, Chaerephon, thought he was really wise, and so Chaerephon goes to the oracle at Delphi, an oracle who speaks for the gods and always speaks the truth. And Chaerephon asked the oracle, is there anyone wiser than Socrates? And the response came back, no one's wiser than Socrates. So Chaerephon tells Socrates this, and he's confused, because he says of himself, I know that I know nothing. So he does not think that he's wise, so how could it be that no one is wiser than him? And this puzzle set him off on a quest. So he decides to go and investigate and try to find somebody wiser than he is. And the first group of people who ought to know about important things like justice are the politicians. So Socrates goes to the politicians, and one by one, he talks to them about the nature of justice. And he sees that they don't really know the nature of justice. And he comes to conclude, after his investigations, that in fact, they think they know what justice is, but they don't actually know what justice is. So Socrates goes to a politician in particular and describes his reputation like this. I thought this man seemed wise to many people, and especially to himself. Above all, he was considered the wisest by himself. And Socrates realizes that when he asks this person about justice, he has this problem because he thinks he knows what justice is, and he doesn't. And Socrates begins to realize that, well, at least I know that I don't know what justice is, whereas this person is worse off than me because he thinks he knows and he doesn't. So Socrates then goes to the poets and he asks similar kinds of questions. He asks them to interpret their own poetry and finds that they're incapable of doing so. And in fact, they lack wisdom about the things that are really important in life. And then finally, Socrates goes to the craftsmen or the artisans of the day, the people who get things done, who make shoes and build buildings. And he asks them about justice. Now, first he says they do know things. They know how to prepare leather to make shoes out of the leather, so that's good. But when it comes to the really important questions, once again, they fail to understand and they think they know, even though they don't. And this is reminiscent of the word sophomore, the second year in college or your second year in high school. The word sophomore comes from two roots. The one, soph, the same root for philosophy, meaning wisdom. Sounds pretty good. But the other one, more, which is the root for our word moron. So wise fool. Why is that? Because the second year students think they know things that they don't. And the big problem here is then that cuts them off from learning. If you think you know something but you don't try to learn. You don't try to investigate anymore. So those are the informal reasons, because he was ticking off basically everyone in town by pointing out that they lack an understanding of the important questions in life.